Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and I'm going to call this leveling up your pliers. I've got 6 different kinds of pliers here. I've got the standard slip joint in the regular size, pair of linemen's, pair of needle nose, some side cutters, wire stripper crimper, and kind of a tongue and groove channel lock style. All of these are pretty common, all of these are essential, and this is a great way to start right here. But what if we took this to the next level? What would be the next one above this standard sized slip joint? If I had to level up one, I would recommend kind of a slip joint high leverage. Looks like this. This is a great plier. It feels expensive when you're, or seems expensive when you first are introduced to it, but a lot of the pliers on the Snap-on truck are expensive. I love these things. I want to point out though, there is a little bit of play here. If there's any more play than this, send them back. I did see somebody, I don't remember who, I apologize, had a video and they had a pair and there was a lot of slop. I had actually ordered a green-handled pair on the off the Snap-on truck, and when they arrived, they were really sloppy. I said, no way. They sent them in and got a new pair, and the new pair were great. But anyway, those should have limited play there. But anyway, that's a good level up as the next step in your slip joint kind of conventional pliers. What about linemen's? I think this is a great next step, and this is actually their smaller linemen. So they've got a big one and a small one, and this gives you a lot of the meat of the lineman, the reason we like lineman pliers, except it's in a small form factor. So to me, you need the full size one to start, and then this would be a great next step in the lineman line. As far as needle nose, the classic, it's a needle nose plier with a cutter. I like the ones with cutters in this size. If you're doing anything, special purpose, you maybe abandon the cutter. Some people don't like them because they really snug up on it for precision work, and you might lop off a piece of skin. But you got to have a pair of those. What would be the next step? Well, I really like this upgraded kind of Snap-on one here. You can see the number on this, 196 ANCF. They have kind of maintained the profile of a needle nose, but it's beefier talon grip on the front end, plus you've got the bolt grabbing as well as the cutter in a little bit larger form. So that'd be my next level up there. As far as side cutters, this is kind of a classic design. There are all sorts of variations of this, but you do need, I believe, the standard variation, the most common one for a lot of things. But if I was going to level up one, probably know where I'm going to go is head towards something like this, which is for precision work and for zip tie cuttings, things like that. That's where these, that you hit the end of what this can do. Especially you look how big that ridge is there. There's no way you can get anywhere near flush with something like this. And then once you start using the flush cutters, they're great. So that'd be my next step there. What about, the standard wire stripper? Well, that's when I'm going to leave Snap-on and would recommend this Knipex here. This is the one that has the majority of the wire stripping here, the wider tips. There is another one that's narrower, and then it basically is more of a kind of a Romex stripping at once. And then this also has the cutter down here and the bolt. So that would be the next step up. Now, what I'm calling these step ups, it means it's not replacing this, it's adding more value on the upper end. So what about with the tongue and groove here? I'd say, again, go to Knipex. You might have started out with something like that, but if you don't have Cobras, you need to go that route, because that is ideally the next step. This can do stuff this can't, and once you start using those Knipex Cobras, I don't think there's going back. But hey, what if you added a third level to this? What's the next level beyond this already raised a level? Well, in terms of the slip joints, that's where I'm going to put these big guys here. This is the LN47 ACF. It is the large version. Again, the triple joint, and right here you can see it looks very much like a traditional triple joint, but you've added the needle nose component. I'm going to put that into this row because I think it's closer to one of these traditional slip joints than it is to a needle nose. What about linemen's? What's the next step there? Well, I'm going to switch to Plier here, to these Pliers. Has many of the lineman capabilities plus a few in terms of grabbing and screw extraction. And this has got a nice healthy bite right there. So if you were doing another layer of linemen's, you wanted this same style or this multi-plier kind of, is going up with the Plier with screw extraction. What about needle nose? Well, I would say go with a long one like this, but if you're going to jump to a long one like that, well, after using these for a while, these really long ones, I just go ahead and suggest making the jump all the way up, because generally there isn't a problem with access, with long handles if you're using these. So why not have even more length here? In other words, getting into these smaller places. I like the way this one fits in my hand, and look at how much more reach you get. And you're already up in the rarefied air of Snap-on prices, so just, take a few more steps and get this big gun right there. What would be next in this cutter? Well, that's when I'd switch over to Klein. This giant Klein here, you can see the numbers on this one. I think that it's the J2000-59. I love this thing. I mean, look at the size difference. It is just an absolute beast. Same limitations as far as flush cutting. In other words, it doesn't. But to give you, almost lineman-like strength and power. Look at that thing in a side cutter. This is one of my favorite all-time tools. Maybe I'll do a video of all my favorites someday. What's the next here? Well, if you're going to do a lot of wire stripping, I've had really good luck with this particular Klein stripper, auto stripper. This is the 11061. I've had a couple of these of versions that were not the greatest. This one seems to work fairly well, so I do like this one. It's got the ability to set a limit somewhere if you want, so you can do quicker stuff. But as far as auto stripping, just dropping the wire in and stripping it, I've had really good luck with these. Your mileage may vary, but that's to me the next step up. What about over here? Well, probably saw this coming. I would go with a plier wrench. It takes the Cobra advantage and adds a camming mechanism and parallel jaws. So where's a good size to start? This is, you can see this is the 250. It matches this 250 Cobra. 250 is a good starting place, and then you can either go up or down depending on your work environment. But the next level, as you're moving up this line of pliers, to me is definitely the plier wrench. So I could run into a fourth, but I decided what I'm going to do is head down a couple of different plier streets in some future videos as I started thinking about this, because there is some logic to the progression of pliers. If you start out, I mean, I do not think anyone should be without the classic traditional kind of slip joint plier. It's amazing. If you jump right into something more advanced, or with different features, you're going to have some shortcomings, because a lot of the world works just fine with these basic first row tools. But as you're leveling up, it gives you more and more superpowers with your tools, but also it narrows down what they're good for. So that's why this first level here is the way it is, and we still make these, and people still buy them and still use them. Just a nice, basic, simple tool, but there's a lot of innovation as you move up. Anyway, I'm curious what you would recommend as well, so let me know in the comments. And with that, Doc out.